The Nation and the Patriot by William Everett, out of the Book of Patriotism, Young Folks Library, Volume 18. William Everett, the youngest son of Edward Everett, was born at Watertown, Massachusetts on October 10, 1839, graduated at Harvard University in 1859, and afterward studied at Trinity College, Cambridge, England. He sat in the National House of Representatives through the 53rd Congress, 1893 to 95. He delivered the Phi Beta Kappa oration June 28, 1900, taking patriotism for his subject. Patriotism, love of country, devotion to the land that bore us, is pressed upon us now as paramount to every other notion in its claims on head, hand, and heart. It is pictured to us not merely as an amiable and inspiring emotion, but as a paramount duty which is to sweep every other out of the way. The thought cannot be put in loftier or more comprehensive words than by Cicero. I'm not even going to try and do the Latin here, folks. Y'all would be entertained by it, but it's a sentence. But the quote is, "Dear our parents, dear our children, dear our friends and relations, but all affections to all men are embraced in country alone." The Greek, the Roman, the Frenchman, the German talks about fatherland, and we are beginning to copy them, though to my ear the English mother country is far more tender and true. Cicero follows up his words by saying that for her no true son would, if need be, hesitate to die. And his words themselves, an echo of what the poets and orators whose heir he was had repeated again and again, have been re-echoed and reiterated in many ages since he bowed his neck to the sword of his country's enemy. But to give life for their country is the least part of what men have been willing to do for her. Human life has often seemed a very trifling possession, to be exposed cheaply in all sorts of useless risks and feuds. It has been the cheerful sacrifice of the things that make life worth living, the eager endurance of things far worse than death, which show the mighty power which love of country holds over the entire being of men. Wealth that Croesus might have envied has been poured at the feet of our mother, and sacrifices taken up which St. Francis never knew. Ease and luxury, refined company, and cultivated employment have been rejected for the hardships and suffering of the camp. The sympathy and idolatry of home have been abandoned for the tenfold hardships and sufferings of a political career. And at the age when we can offer neither life nor living as of any value to one's country, those children and grandchildren, which were to have been the old man's and the old woman's solace, are freely sent forth in the cause of the country, which will send back nothing but a sword and cap to be hung on the wall and never be worn by living man again. Such are the sacrifices men have cheerfully made for the existence, the honor, the prosperity of their country. But perhaps the power of patriotism is shown more strongly in what it makes them do than in what it makes them give up. You know how many men have been, as it were, born again by the thought that they might illustrate the name and swell the force of their country, achieving what they never would have aroused themselves to do for themselves alone. I do not mean the feats of military courage and strategy, which are generally talked of as the sum of patriotic endeavor. I recollect in our war being told by a very well-known soldier, who is now a very well-known civilian, that it was conceited for me or any other man to think in time of war he could serve his country in any way but in the ranks. But in fact, every art and every science has won triumphs under the stress of patriotism that it has hardly known in less enthusiastic days. The glow that runs through every line of Sophocles and Virgil as they sung the glories of Athens and Rome is reflected in the song of our own bards from Spenser and Shakespeare to this hour. The rush and sweep of Demosthenes and Cicero, dwelling on the triumphs and duties of their native lands, are only the harbingers of Burke and Webster and the like themes. The beauty into which Bramante and Anglo pour all their souls to adorn their beloved Florence was lavished under no other impulse than that which set all the science of France working to relieve her agriculture and manufactures from the pressure laid upon her by the strange vicissitudes of her revolution. Not all this enthusiasm has succeeded. There have been patriotic blunders as well as patriotic triumphs, but still it stands true that men are spurred on to make the best of themselves in the days when love of country glowed strongest in their hearts. It would seem as if all citizens poured their individual affections and devotions into one superior lake, from which they all burst into one Niagara of patriotism. What is this country, this mother country, this fatherland, that we are bidden to love and serve and stand by at any risk and sacrifice? Is it the soil? Is it the land, the plains and mountains and rivers, the fields and forests and mines? No doubt there is inspiration from this very earth, from that part of the globe which no nation holds and which we call our country. Poets and orators have dwelt again and again on the undying attractions to our own land, no matter what it is like: the Dutch marshes, the Swiss mountains, soft Italy, and stern Spain equally clutching on the hearts of their people with a resistless chain. But land is nothing without the men. The very same countries whose scenery, tame or bold, charming or awful, has been the inspiration to gallant generations, may, as the wheel of time turns, fall to indolent savages, listless slaves, or sordid money-getters. Byron has told us this in lines which the men of his own time felt were instinct with creative genius, but which the taste of the day rejects for distorted thoughts and distorted verse. Clime of the forgotten brave, whose land from plain to mountain cave was freedom's home or glory's grave. Shrine of the mighty, can it be that this is all remains of thee? Approach, thou craven, crouching slave. Say, is this not Thermopylae? These waters blue that round you lave, O servile offspring of the free. Pronounce what sea, what shore is this? The gulf, the rock of Salamis. 'Twere long to tell and sad to trace each step from splendor to disgrace. Enough no foreign foe could quell thy soul till from itself it fell. Yes, self-abasement paved a way to villain bonds and despot sway.